5. Produce, direct, star, and distribute your own videos on YouTube. The first thing a meeting planner will do is click on your YouTube videos rather than posting a video of your baby moon walking Michael Jackson. No, moon walking like Michael Jackson. You might want to post videos of your speaking, teaching, or doing your act, whatever. Your talent. Catch it on film. Talent means talent. Okay, it's a value, great talent and great value for any sectors, any area solution. Yeah. Award-winning speaker and humorist Jenny Robertson found fame and fortune in an unexpected and at first unwelcome place. Without Jenny's permission, an audience member had uploaded one of her best stories on YouTube. At first, Jenny was furious. She felt violated that someone gave away her signature, a story that took her years to develop. Then something amazing happened. Jenny's video went viral. Over 6 million baby boomers emailed it to each other. Here is the thing about YouTube. You can track what city your hits are coming from. Jenny then turned her hilarious motivational speech into a one-person show and took it to choose cities. The results? Jenny played to sold out houses where people actually begged her to do the YouTube story. Go to marketyourspeech.com/videos to see Jenny's clip. If you get a great live clip from your speech where the audience goes crazy, don't hesitate to upload. Okay, wait. If you get a great live clip from your speech where the audience goes crazy, don't hesitate to upload it on YouTube. Upload it to YouTube. It can give you professional credibility overnight. Okay. That's reality. 6. Volunteer. I met Scott Pixley at the Houston chapter of the National Speakers Association. He is the president of NSA Houston. What is the difference between being a member of an NSA chapter and its president? Oh, let's see. One meeting over dinner, Scott, who speaks on the power of connection, told me that he takes a leadership role in most of the organizations that he joins. Over the years, he has served as chair Young Professionals of Tulsa, President Young Guns, Oklahoma State. Oh wow, Young Guns, Oklahoma State. Advisory board member, Boys and Girls Clubs of Green Country, Tulsa. Board member and chief fundraising MC hoster who for Oklahoma State University Alumni Association Tulsa chapter. Adult Programs Committee Leadership Tulsa. Board member Tulsa Foundation for Architecture. All of this involvement in leadership roles creates credentials. The results? Scott has been invited to speak at many of the organizations where he volunteers, and many of them have led to paying gigs. 7. Speak. Yes, the best way to develop credentials as a speaker is to speak. When I first went into speaking, I wasn't branded as a goddess of comedy. Matter of fact, I didn't have a lot of credentials that would be of interest to a business. My credentials made me an expert in the field of comedy, but they didn't necessarily translate to a Fortune 500 settings. I began building my brand by volunteering to speak for cancer survivors at the Wellness Center. The title of my talk was Healing with Humor. After speaking for free at many events, I was introduced to a Wall Street Journal reporter who thought my speech and my approach to combating illness with humor was newsworthy. The article ran, and suddenly I was an expert. Once the Wall Street Journal says you are an expert, you are an expert, my phone started ringing off the hook. The moral of that story is luck happens to those who are already taking action. Right. Perfect you are. I repeat, luck happens to those who are already taking action. Luck happens to those who are already taking action. Excuse me. Luck happens to those who are already taking action. Luck happens to those who are already taking action. Luck happens to all. Luck happens to those who are already taking action. Okay. One more time. Luck happens to those who are already taking action. So taking action is important. Even though you are taking little action, keep taking that action. Keep reading. Keep learning. Whatever problem you are facing, you will get the solution in future. 100%. Okay. You will be capable. You will have those knowledge which can solve your problem. I know it seems like a catch 2020 situation. Oh, I know it seems like a catch 2020 situation. Much like trying to break into the Screen Actors Guild. You want to act, but you have to have a SAG card to work. But to get a card, you have to already have an acting job. It makes no sense. Fortunately, with speaking, it's easier than landing that juicy role in HBO's next hit series. In Chapter 7, I even teach you how to book your first gig. By the time you finish this book, you will have a speaking engagement on your calendar. Right now, however, it's time to pick your bookable topic. Pick your bookable topic. Your bookable topic. I was recently hired a coach, Laura Tenenbaum. Laura Explorer. Okay, Laura Tenenbaum, who worked at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory here in California. As if that wasn't impressive enough, she was a professor of oceanography at a major university. I was excited to meet her. working at JPL certainly established her as an expert in her field, and she would expressed a burning desire to speak. I couldn't wait to get started. Wow. Imagine my shock when we sat down for our first consultation and she announced that she wanted to speak about the yoga and circus training classes she would been taking. My jaw hit the floor. I couldn't contain myself. I yelled at her, "You work at a jet propulsion laboratory. You are an expert on climate change. That's your bookable topic." But my new client wasn't interested in speaking about her field of expertise. In fact, she was completely frustrated by the recycling movement and was quite opinionated about it. She told me climate change. Okay. Propulsion laboratory. Climate change is boring. Everyone is talking about that. I want to do something different. I want to be more personal. I want to be unique. I want to do a TED speech. It took a heated, no pun intended conversation, but eventually I convinced my client that if she wanted to be hired as a professional and paid speaker, she had to qualify as an expert, and she had to qualify as an expert, and she had to speak about a topic that was in demand on the speaking circuit. Her expertise was climate change, and the fact that everyone was talking about it was a great thing. That meant there were audiences who not only wanted to hear about it but were willing to pay to hear about it. That meant there was a market niche she could fulfill, which meant she would work as a speaker. And wasn't that the goal? She would work as a speaker, right? And wasn't that the goal, right? This is the thing. So connect your thought into change making thing, which is message spreadable thing. Okay, projection medium is speaking, and also you want to make something, right? Profit. So connected these three things. Now it's win-win situation for everybody, right? For you, for them, and for all over the world. I explained to my client that within the topic of her expertise, climate change, she could incorporate stories and experiences from her yoga and circus training. Once we worked out her core promise, we added her personal stories to make her point of view on climate change totally unique. I explained it's not what you talk about, it's how you talk about it, right? Your professional experience forms that foundation on which you build your message of you. In other words, your professional qualifications are your biggest clue in finding your bookable topic and your paying audience. Your bookable topic needs to be based on your credentials, Credentials give you credibility. What you qualify to talk about from your professional experience might at first seem boring to you. After all, being a CPA, discussing private wealth management, a director of HR speaking about employee retention, or a scientist speaking about climate change might not sound like hot SC or SC topics. But once you realize those speakers are making upwards of $10,000 per keynote address, those topics get way easier. But to reach out to these eager audiences, you have to be speaking about a bookable topic. Here is the thing. A meeting planner isn't going to say, "Find me a speaker who is funny with great stories." Rather, they will be looking for an entertaining speaker who talks on a specific topic that fits into the theme of their meeting, such as dealing with change, leadership, or entrepreneurship. They will Google the topic, not the speaker. So you have got to merge the message of you with a bookable topic that you are qualified to speak about. After selecting your audience and knowing the problem you are going to address, finding your bookable topic is the third consideration you must make in finding your core promise. The marketability of what you talk about is important. You might be an expert in marine biology and have some great fish stories, but how many ichthyology conventions exist outside of the annual Sierra Club convention? There aren't many gigs where you would get paid to explain the breeding habits of CMS fighting fish. You have got to think bookable. One of my students, Travis Taft, just spoke at an origami convention. Yes, even people who fold paper into birds have conventions that hire speakers. Travis Taft has a compelling heart story. At 17 years of age, he had a body surfing accident that left him with a devastating spinal cord injury. Finding your niche. You have to find your unique niche. Even if you are a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, that means that there are 499 people just like you. Okay. If a speaker bureau already has 10 people in your niche, then you have to find a way to be different by finding your uniqueness. Brian Lord, speaker agent, VP of Premier Speaker Bureau. The doctor said he would be a quadriplegic, unable to move or feel sensation in both his upper and lower body. But Travis was determined to heal. It was there by his hospital bed the day his finger moved. Travis believes it was his unrelenting desire to become an origami master that gave him the will to move his hands again through hard work and against all odds. Not only did Travis regain the use of his hands, but he can now even walk. Oh my God! Oh my God. It's a miracle. What is this? Wow. It's a miracle. Yeah. His story can inspire others to rise above their own personal challenges if he can find a way to make origami a bookable topic. I am now coaching Travis to broaden the scope of his speech to include his heart story and to develop his message of you to reflect the awesome journey of his life. His skill with origami can then be presented as a stress reduction technique or a team building technique, as well as an instrument of personal development for a corporate audience. With this new approach, he can reach out to a larger, better paying audience, and he can have a career as a speaker that supports his passion for origami. Not everyone has the kind of heart story that can turn origami into a bookable topic. Many amateur speakers think it's a good idea to choose an obscure topic nobody else speaks on because they don't want competition. That is the That is a mistake. There is a reason nobody speaks on it. It's because there isn't an audience. Listed in this chapter are the speaking topics that bureaus and meeting planners most often try to fill. Look over this list and determine which are related to your professional or personal qualifications. Can you claim to be an expert about any of them? Check all that apply, but remember the name of this game is not checking a lot of boxes, but only the ones that you are highly qualified to speak about. Sean Ellis, owner of the Speakers Group Bureau, says, "When I see that a speaker talks on a lot of topics, I sense that they aren't very good, as you can't be an expert on everything. With that said, pay particular attention to the larger subject headings that encapsulate many smaller topics. The bigger your topic, the broader your audience base." Okay, I am a perfect example of this. Since I speak on reducing stress, this qualifies me to speak everywhere. Everywhere. Everyone wants to experience less stress in their lives. Everyone wants to laugh as they learn. Everyone wants to experience less stress in their lives. Everyone wants to laugh as they learn. I have been hired to speak at all sorts of business meetings, conventions, expos, spinal cord injury wards at the VA, award banquets, cruise ships, schools, colleges, animal shelters, cancer survivor events, 10K races, medical events, vendor events, homeowner associations, and even the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. I have also been hired by numerous governmental agencies, including the FAA, the FICA, the Federal Reserve Board, and even the IRS. Yes, it's so weird getting a good call from the IRS. Wanting to give me money. The combination of my bookable topic stress reduction with humor as my message of you that has resulted in numerous speeches with core promises such as laugh your way through stress. For a business audience, laughter is the best medicine. For a healthcare audience, when things get dire, inspire. When things get dire, inspire. For the management crowd, as you look at the list below, think about topics that are reflective of your journey and mesh with your credentials, but are also broad enough to be inclusive of many audiences. Some of the topics can be combined in the same speech. For instance, you can have a humor speech about travel issues for people with disabilities, customer energy issues, hospitality, money, negotiation, personal development, presentation, relationship, sales, marketing, social media, health care and wellness, ethics, values, entrepreneurial skills, conflict resolution. Okay, these things are there. Creativity, ideation, this and that. You can future. Parenting, personal development, politics, product development, retail, risk management, science, small business, change, corporate culture, crisis management, cyber security, disaster preparedness, e-commerce, emerging markets, identity theft, investing, mergers, acquisitions, networking, outsourcing, overcoming obstacles, peak performance, personal finance, real estate, retirement, security. Okay. Spirituality pause program. Yeah. Yes. Sports life lessons. Yes, team building, time management. Yes, volunteering, work-life balance. Yes, mine most of it. Okay, and these two. Okay, very important. For this, everything will be going there, obviously. Okay, spouse program, success, women's issue. Great. Okay, note: for up-to-date information related to bookable topics, go to marketyourspeech.com or topic. The following exercises will assist you in bolstering your The following exercises will assist you in bolstering your confidence as well as familiarizing you with other speakers who speak on similar topics. Don't worry if they have a same topic as you do. There is room for everyone. It's not the topic that makes you a successful speaker, but what you do with 100 speakers can speak on the same topic, but no one has your stories, your solutions, or your message. Yes, I can do this. Okay. Motivate things for great performance in work and relationship. And both ways. Exercise. Okay. Exercise the off the cuff confidence builder. Set an in-person meeting with your speaker buddy. Using the boxes you checked off from the list above, write the topics on pieces of paper and put them in a bowl or a bag. Include your topics and your buddy's topics in the same bag. Next, take turns picking out a topic and talking non-stop for 3 minutes as if you are the foremost expert on that topic by following this format. 1. You people have a problem about insert topic. Talk for 30 seconds about what you would imagine the problem your audience has. 2. Today I want to show you how you can insert results. Talk about the results that they are going to get from this speech for 30 seconds. 3. I am qualified to talk to you about some solutions because I make up a 30-second story about how you became an expert on this topic and mention your professional experiences. Again, if you don't have any, make it up as you go. As this exercise is just to give you the feel of giving a speech. 4. I really understand what you are going through because on a personal level, when I tell a personal 30-second story about something that happened to you, that makes you truly understand the problem the audience has with this topic. Again, make up a story if you don't have one. Just keep talking. 5. Today I am going to show you how to solve your problem by now end your 30-minute speech by talking about how you are going to solve an aspect of their problem. Again, you may not know anything about the subject, so just fake it. Don't stop talking for 3 minutes. Make up words if you have to. The point is to sound like an expert. and build your confidence as a speaker, as well as get a feel of the structure of a speech. No, who knows? You might be surprised to find you actually are an expert. Exercise. Suss out your competition. Suss out your competition or suss out your competition. Using the topics you choose from the list above. Do a Google or other internet search to find out who the leading speakers are not that topic. Use the search phrase topic speaker or peruse the Speaker Bureau websites to find their client list. If there are numerous speakers that are speaking on your topic, consider that topic commercial and viable. If you aren't using one of the above topics and you can't find anyone covering your chosen topic, it's time to rethink your choice. Note, the purpose of this exercise is not to steal another speaker's approach to a topic, but for you to familiarize yourself with the marketability of your subject matter. You also need to know what sort of solutions other speakers offer. You must handle the topic in a different kind of way, but you need to know what's out there. Maybe I can suggest the person of Guinness Book of World Record that make water fast plus reading marathon record, okay, and just give half an hour, 5 minutes break, because that person don't need to eat now, that's why. But the person will get urine because that's only water, that's why. The only thing change is make 5 minutes break instead of per half an hour instead of 1 hour, because it's only water, that's why. Urine will get so much frequently, that's why. Maybe the message of you, obviously, speak up, at least. Narrow down first. Speak up. Narrow down your topics by asking yourself, do I have both personal and professional experiences with this topic? Will my credentials qualify me as an expert in this topic? Although other speakers are speaking on this topic, is there something new that I can bring to this topic? For instance, there are many men speaking on leadership but not many women. Get your list down to no more than 3 topics. Chapter 4 checklist. Created a list of my credentials, picked a few topics that I qualify to talk about, researched my topic on the internet, bumped up my credits if I needed to, choose bookable topics that I qualify to speak about, met with my speaker buddy and improvised a speech, researched my competition, narrowed myself to 3 topics or less. Chapter 5. Their problem, your solution. Tony Alessandra is an award-winning speaker whose keynote speech, How to Get and Keep Customers for Life, helps companies develop customer loyalty and adaptability in their sales team. At the beginning of his speech, Tony doesn't instantly offer his action steps or solutions, but rather hits them hard with their problems that have negative consequences for their pocketbooks. Now you might think, Judy, problems are unpleasant. Why would he remind them of just how messed up their life their life is? Why would he remind them of just how messed up their life is? Aren't we supposed to be there to inspire and make the audience feel good? Wow, man! Wow! Have you noticed that people don't usually go to a doctor until they are in pain? Right. People ignore the dentist until their gums are bleeding or a tooth is loose. People toss out bills they can't pay or avoid collection calls until they have lost their house or their credit ratings have taken. Okay, so there are system of everything if that person will understand. Most of us adapt to living in chaos, being broke or feeling powerless. It's a speaker's job to make an audience not only aware that they have a problem, but why it's a problem, and to make them understand that they no longer have to tolerate their situation. Daniel is a powerful force. Denial is a powerful force. It keeps people stuck. Denial. As a speaker, it's your job to get them unstuck. The reason speakers get paid a lot of money is because they provide their audiences with more than just an engaging, funny or dramatic experience, taking the audience on a journey from problem to solution. They leave their audience with their tools, what I call action steps, that are meant to spur and inspire change. Most likely you will be hired to speak to a company because they already have a specific problem they want to solve. If the problem is profits are down, meeting planners will book a speaker to motivate their sales force. If the staff is facing burnout and stress, the meeting planner will book a speaker to boost spirits. If there is been a recent merger, a meeting planner will book a speaker who provides situations for coping with change often. What do meeting planners want? When I'm looking for a speaker, I don't want a canned presentation. I want a speaker who takes the time to find out about the audience and the challenges that the audience is facing. I appreciate speakers who do the research in advance of the presentation, as well as those who arrive at the event early and attended the meetings so they work in what happened in a meeting. I was someone who becomes emotionally involved, so it's not just a job. Bonnie Walsh, MA CMM, Chief Strategist, Bonnie Walsh Associates. So often, meeting planners will take the problem or challenge that their employees are facing and use it as the theme of the meeting or even the entire conference. Some examples of themes include higher sales, keeping pace with change, increasing communication, improving morale, and so on. Meeting planners will then select speakers who fit the chosen theme. In other words, the speaker who can offer effective solutions for the problems facing the audience will land the job. Whatever their problem, a speaker's job is to understand the specifics of that problem and to provide solutions. Whatever their problem. Yeah. That means that your core promise must show an understanding of the challenge that business speak for nightmares facing the company, and that your action steps must present viable, doable solutions. Later in your heart story, you will show that you are living proof of the solution. And yes, you have to tinker with your speech before each engagement to further personalize the material, but your core promise shouldn't fluctuate greatly. Yeah. No one actually expects 50-50. No one actually expects a 1-hour speech to fix all the company problems, but meeting planners and companies do expect a speaker to provide some actionable suggestions, action steps that can shift employee attitudes in a positive direction. वाह यार, क्या बात है, बहुत बढ़िया. Thank you ma'am, thank you very much. It really means a lot, man. When everyone is back in the office on Monday meeting, planners want to hear how much everyone enjoyed and learned from the speaker. Bosses want to see smiles on faces. It's your job to provide just a little ray of sunshine, inspiration, or know how that employees can take back to their desk, to their family, and to their lives. If you can do that, you will be worth a lot of money in the speaking biz. Finding the problem and solution aspect of your speech is the final piece of the core promise. It is the act of combining the message of you with the message of the meeting. But how do you find those action steps, and how do you even know what problem needs to be solved? There are really only 3 big problems that will motivate your audience to play. No matter what bookable topics you selected in the previous chapter, you will have to find a way to connect your audience's specific problems to one or all of the big 3. Big problem 1: wealth, health, relationships. Oh. Okay. That's good. People's champ. Okay, big problem number 1. Excuse me. Wealth. Everyone needs more money, wants to make more money, has bills to pay, mouths to feed, is worried about job security, or is hoping to improve their career. Everyone has concerns about their wealth. Big problem 2: health. Mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. Everyone needs healthy bodies and healthy minds in order to live. When that health is threatened by disease, stress, environmental factors, you'd better believe people will want to hear new solutions. Big problem 3: relationships. whatever is sidestepping office politics in the boardroom, whispering sweet nothings in the bedroom, or sweating in front of 25 bored teenagers in the classroom. Everyone is constantly negotiating and renegotiating their relationships with family, friends, and even enemies. Love is hatred. People will pay attention if your solutions will help them better relate to others. People will pay attention if your solution will help them better relate. Tap into one or more of the big three and you will put the audience in touch with their pain. Once they are desperate for change, they will be open to the cure and you will give it to them. Presenting your solution in this way will help the audience hanging on your every word. This is why Tony's speech is so effective. He is able to convince the audience that their problems are their problems are standing in the way of them making more money and is preventing long-lasting relationships with their clients. To better understand this process, let's look closely at this section of Tony's speech. Tony believes that there are four distinct customer personalities: the director, the thinker, the relator, and the socializer. He introduces the problems associated with each personality by explaining. Relators seek harmony and close personal one-to-one relationships and close personal one-to-one relationships. They are loyal team players, good listeners, and the glue that holds the team together, but they don't like conflict or rocking the boat. It's easy to hurt their feelings, but you won't know it until they get out of your sight. They will pull out a little book, write your name on it, and put a check mark by it. After outlining the three other personality types, Tony explains the concept. After outlining the three other personality types, Tony explains the consequences of ignoring the personalities of customers. If a client won't buy what you are selling, you blame the client. But the problem is that you, the salesperson, described the product in terms of how it moved and motivated you rather than how it can move and motivate them. The client Tony doesn't stop here. Tony doesn't stop there. He even goes after the CEO. The way your company categorizes its customers is outdated. You define clients in Clint Eastwood terms of the good client, the bad client, and the ugly client. The bad customers, the ones who aren't making you money. You try to change them, and when that doesn't work, you just cut them out and focus solely on the profitable clients. Tony can do this because he's done his homework. Yes. Because he has done his homework. He knows his audience. That's why he can do the same speech for all his engagements, because his message is relatable to most companies. When you truly understand the problem of a large group of people, your mythology can become a speech that resonates for thousands of audiences. Tony is successful because he knows his audience's problems and he fully understands the complexity and severity of the consequences if those problems go unchecked. The question is, do you? Exercise: exploring the problem of your topic. You may have chosen many bookable topics in the last chapter, but for now focus on one topic. It should be a topic where you have had hands-on experience working in that field, or you qualify to talk about it because of your life experiences. Even if you think you know everything there is to know about your topic. In this exercise, I am going to ask you to interview others who work in that field. Don't pick someone who is a speaker, but rather someone who would likely be an audience member. For instance, if your topic is entrepreneurship, find a friend who owns their own business. If you picked effective management as your managing a company, as a topic, choose a manager who you worked with at a past job, or a friend who manages a company or a team of people. If your topic is time management, then track down someone who is raising a family as well as having a career. Got it? Find someone who could benefit from listening to your expertise. This person can be a friend, a co-worker, anyone related to your topic. Even if you feel you are a master at this topic, doesn't skip this exercise. We always have more to learn, and there is always room for surprise. When I first started, my message of me pointed to the bookable topics of humor and stress reduction. When I did this exercise, I had to think of someone who could really benefit from my message of using humor to decrease stress. My first thought was everyone, but that was too general and wouldn't help me write my speech. So I picked people dealing with cancer. When I first started my message of me pointed the bookable topics, human stress reduction, dealing with I was surely they of all people could use a laugh. I looked up organizations and contacted Gilda's Club, an organization formed by the late company legend Gilda Radner to assist people going through cancer treatment. Several members, including their president, were more than happy to be interviewed by me. From interviewing several cancer survivors as well as staff who worked with them, I not only identified the stresses facing cancer survivors, but the president asked me to speak at her organization, Woohoo! So before I even had my speech, I had my first real gig. Here are some sample questions you can ask a mock audience member. 1. What is a bad day for people dealing with this topic? 2. What are 3 problems that everyone in this industry or topic has in common? 3. What are some of the bad consequences of these problems? For instance, someone who speaks on organizational skills might list living in chaos as a problem. The consequences of that could be being late to work because you are always looking for your keys, spending money to replace items you have lost, and so on. Wow. That could be being late to work because you are always looking for your keys, spending money to replace items you have lost, and so on. 4. What would be a few beneficial results of speech on insert your topic? When I interviewed cancer survivors about what was stressing them, what emerged were the stresses of a bad day. A bad day is when I have to deal with doctors and insurance people in the same day. They don't listen. They treat me like I'm a machine and there is too much paperwork. One of the problems of having a life-threatening illness has to be helping friends deal with their grief over my illness. I don't have enough energy to take care of myself, and now I have to take care of my friends. The result of all these problems is that I'm depressed from having cancer, anxious about seeing the doctor, exhausted from taking care of my friends' feelings, and pissed at the insurance companies. Desired benefits of my speech were: 1. Laughter can improve the immune system. 2. A sense of humor can transform you from just another patient into a real person in the eyes of the insurance companies and the doctors. 3. Sharing laughs with friends takes the focus of illness and puts it back on the friendship. Okay, your turn. After interviewing a few people, determine 10 big problems that face your target audience. Looking over that list, which of these problems can be connected to the big three: wealth, health, and relationships? How? Make a list of the possible beneficial results of your speech. Okay, do it now. Solving the audience's problem. Yeah, actually, what I want to solve every problem. Okay, I want for everyone, for you, for me, for everyone, for everybody, to solve every problem. Okay, the practical thing, the real thing, that how much problem I can solve, because there are a lot of people who is solving. How much problem I can solve? So I must select one or two. Okay, or max to max 3 if you are like Mr. Elon Musk. The main thing is 1 to 2 problem you can select. Okay, especially one, and related to that second you can attach. So this is the thing, that you have to select that what type of problem you want to solve and solve that. Is that problem is related to health? Is that problem is mainly related to health, direct connection, or means is it is the mindset is lacking health area, or is the mindset of your people lacking wealth area? Is your people's mindset is lacking in relationship area, and because of these things women issues are coming. So which area? I think relationship area. If that is good, then everything is good. If that is not good, then health issue and wealth issue will come. Yeah, obviously that issue also comes because of how I'm very good at relationship. Right? What my problem is wealth. My health is okay. My relationship, my health skill is okay. My relationship skill is okay. Okay, in my mind, my wealth skill is not okay. So I have to excel. I have to improve my wealth skill. Then everything okay. So what skills your people is lacking, your people's mind is lacking, this is going to fulfill that, give solution to them related to this. That will be solution of this. Speakers have to offer hope. Remember my client who didn't want to talk about climate change. When I asked her for a solution, her first reaction was to throw her hands up and say, "It's hopeless." There is nothing one person can do. Well, nobody in their right mind would book that speech. Hey, I'm here to talk about hopelessness. Cool. Aid nobody. Cool. Aid nobody. Working with my climate change professor, I made a few suggestions about solutions that might be better received, such as enjoy the beauty of the planet. Now, renew your commitment to recycling or the power of one person. Meeting planners want to know how people will feel and the end of your speech and this part of the message of you is where you express just that. You are going to learn how. You are going to live knowing. Later on when you write your speech in part 2, this formula will be broken down into specific action steps that you will present to the audience. For now, you need to identify a few gifts you are giving to your audience and how it will solve their problems.
हुआ है
Exercise your solutions for success. Let's start with examining the steps you took when you zigzagged your way from failure to success in your own life. Remember those stories you collected in chapter 3? The ones about your journey from failures to success. There is ask you to pay attention to the life lessons you learned. Those lessons and stories will come in handy now. Wow. So many of the ways we solve our problems are intuitive, subconscious mind. Most of us are so busy living we never stop to examine how we got to where we are now. Most successful people can't tell you what steps they took to become successful. Football coaches repairing after this challenge because it's prosperous challenge. That's why for you, me, and all forever. Speakers have to offer hope. 100%. Remember my client, and this is inside this book, okay? The message of you. Page number 110. Solving the audience's problem. Speakers have to offer hope. And solutions. Solve that. Okay. Speakers have to offer hope. Remember my client who didn't want to talk about climate change. When I asked her for a solution, her first reaction was to throw her hands up and say it's hopeless. There is nothing one person can do. Well, nobody is their right mind would book that speech. Hey, I'm here to talk about hopelessness. Cool aid anybody? Working with my climate change professor, I made a few suggestions about solutions that might be better received, such as enjoy the beauty of the planet now. Okay, wow, man. Enjoy the beauty of the planet now. Renew your commitment to recycling or the power of one person. Meeting, okay, yes. Okay, meeting planners want to know how people will feel at the end of your speech, and this part of the message of you is the message of you is where you express just that you are going to learn how to you are going to learn how to you are going to leave knowing. Later on, when you write your speech in part 2, this formula will be broken down into specific action steps that you will present to the audience. For now you need to identify a few gifts you are giving to your audience and how it will solve their problem. How it will solve their problem.
What happens for a lot of present with Tatiana.
Tatiana.
Conventional workplace sexual harassment. Introduce. Next, let us go through the rights provided in our Constitution.
I want to give you 4 specific examples on a cover at the end about how sales triple your sales.
Okay.
Doing one thing.
Exercise your solutions for success.
From being nobody to making a whole bunch of money and having a lot of impact, to how Frank Gehry redefined what it meant to be an architect. And one of my biggest failures in the market in the last few years, the record label I started that had a CD called Sauce. But before I get to that, I got to tell you about Sliced Bread and a guy named Otto Roller. Now,
Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you very much.
I wonder
My
what they
teachers.
said, like the greatest invention since the telegraph or something.
Thank you
But
very much,
this
Mr.
guy,
Stephen
Otto
James,
Roller,
sir, and
invented
Mr.
sliced
Chana
bread.
James, sir.
And he focused, like most inventors,
God
did,
bless to all of you.
on the
Have a
person
healthy,
part
wealthy,
and the
happy life
making
for
part.
you.
And the thing about the invention of sliced bread is this. that for the
Exercise
first
your
15
solutions
years
for
after sliced
success.
bread was invented,
Let's start with examining the steps you took when you zigzagged your way from failure to success in your life, in your own life. Remember those stories you collect in chapter 3? The ones about your journey from failure to success. There I asked you to pay attention to the life lessons you learned Those lessons and stories will come in handy now. Come in handy now.
And it doesn't matter to me whether you're yourself an intellectual
So many of the ways we solve our problems are intuitive, subconscious. Most of us are so busy living, we never stop to examine how we got to where we are now. Most successful people can't tell you what steps they took to become successful. Football coaches can't always explain how they won the championship game. In the moment they were acting on talent and intuition. This is where you come in. If you can discern your own methodology of problem solving, then you can use what you learned from your own life to teach others.
from that to Montreal. And it goes around and around and around the same way the military industrial complex was a long time ago. There's that model of, and we heard yesterday,
This is your challenge. In this chapter here, I will lead you to research the problems surrounding the topic you choose in the last chapter and examine your own steps to success, both personally and professionally. You will create the final piece of the message of you. Finding solutions in your own problems. I suffered from terrible stage fright, but I found a way to help myself and developed a method to help other people feel comfortable in front of groups, so they too can share their ideas, insights and expertise to make a difference in the world. Sandra Zimmer, speaker and author of It's Your Time to Shine. How to overcome fear of public speaking, develop authentic presence and speak from your heart. From your heart. We all have learned something in our lives in your journey to success. Some things worked and got you to a new place, while some things may have set you back a few steps. In order to speak, you need to be able to succinctly tell an audience the step-by-step directions you took from problem to solution. I am asking you to take a helicopter view of your life journey. Here are a few ways to do it. Helicopter view. Oh, let me make a helicopter
Now I try to imagine
in that
what
sense.
possibly be in an animated TV commercial featuring Tom Arnold that would get you to get in your car, drive across town, and buy a roasted sandwich. Now this is Copernicus, and he was right when he's talking to anyone who needs to be right here. The world revolves around me. Me, my favorite person is me. I don't want to get email from anybody. I want to get an email. So consumers, and I don't just mean people who buy stuff at the Safeway. I mean people at the Defense Department who might buy something, or people at the New Yorker who might print your article. Consumers don't care about you at all. They just don't care. Part of the reason is they've got way more choices than they used to, and way less time. And in a world where we have too many choices and too little time, the obvious thing to do is just ignore stuff. And my parable here is you're driving down the road and you see a cow.
Okay, helicopter view.
You've seen cows before. Cows are invisible. Cows are
When looking at the story of your life journey, chapter 3, write out all the steps you took to solve your problems. to solve your problem. You took to solve your problem.
for a while. I mean, if all Catholics are willing to get more into the thing that's going to decide what gets talked about, what gets done, what gets changed, what gets purchased, what gets built, is it remarkable? And remarkable is a really cool
Yeah.
word, because we think it just means
2. What were 5 steps you took that led you to a specific success? 3. What were the long-term results of those actions of our curriculum or circumstances?
to hold and it's drunk. People are paying full price for books. And the only thing they have in common is they don't have anything in common.
4. How can those steps solve a problem that your speech will address? When I transitioned from performing stand-up comedy to teaching, I was overwhelmed with fear. How could I teach someone how to be funny? But at my first class, when students were having trouble memorize their act, coming up with punchlines, or even trying to get over stage fright, I was amazed at how much I knew. All those years playing clubs and all those pages or writing comedy material gave me the expertise to know exactly what advice is to give my students. That's when I wrote my first book, stand-up comedy. In the comedy, comedy.
To sell a chair. They turned a chair from something the purchasing department bought to something that was a status symbol about where you sat at work. This guy, Lionel Cooley, was a famous speaker of
The book,
2.5 months ago.
which became the compilation of those solutions and action steps I developed on the fly for comics.
By one baker out of
You know a lot more than you think from living your life, from doing your job. You have become an expert, and you are capable of passing that knowledge on to others. Remember, you are not expected to solve all problems. There is no need to make outrageous promises you can't deliver. Yes. Now, no person can be a master of everything. Yes, but they can be a master of something. Means two to three things. Okay, masters. First one. Okay, then another one. Then second you can go for that too related, similar to that. And if you want to live Mr. Elon Musk life, then you can go for 3. Okay. Now the solutions you will teach have to be the ones that you have used in your own life. I would like to mix of Mr. Stephen James and Mr. Elon. It means Mr. Jimmy Brown. And they have to work. This is where you walk your talk. And more better than this, 80-20 is the greatest, is the bestest. Walk your talk. It is only after outlining the problems that Tony Alexandra, not Mr. Tony Robbins sir also. Yes. So Tony Alexandra sir introduces the audience to his solution in 3 action steps. He tells them, in order to exceed a customer's expectations, you need to do 3 things: identify, manage, and monitor. Identify, manage, monitor. Identify the customer's expectations and become client-centered in understanding their needs and goals. Second, we have to manage the client's expectations so they aren't too high. Yeah. Manage. Third, we have to monitor them and inspect what the customer expects. Follow these 3 action steps and you have a good chance of exceeding your customers' expectations and even generating new customers. Tony has branded his solutions, his action steps, and created a trademark core promise called the Platinum Rule. Before you start registering your own trademark, it's best to investigate the solutions you hope to offer.
Perhaps those that buy and test it in the other model. Aren't getting nail polish. Doesn't appeal to everybody. But for the people who love it,
Seriously, go for expert.
just painting it right here.
Go for mastery, bro. Seriously, go for mastery.
There's no Ford paint company making them a fortune.
Because
35% more than they paint.
at that point of time when you will talk, that will be
They didn't just slap a new air
that will be quick
to build
a fruit for people. Okay, and yeah, people's brain can take fruit easily, and food is food. Yeah, prepared food, or you can say prepared cake in your language. Prepared cake, food, fruit, whatever. Prepared, ready-made. Okay, if you will say, hey, take this cloth and stitch on your own and make your cloth, whatever cloth you want to make. Okay, which suits you. And someone is offering them, there are ready-made clothes, take and which suits you. So what do you think? What is more effortless? That effortless thing is ready-made already. So this is the thing, right? That's why mastery is important, because then you can have the direct conversation and that solution give and take. Then you will get some value. If you will provide some great value, then you will get great value. Exercise putting your fix on their problem. If you completed the exercises in the previous chapters, you should be able to answer these questions. 1. Who is your audience? Women, baby boomers, healthcare. Yes, women, healthcare workers, cancer patients, administrative aides, technical support, etc. In etc, if there is woman, then there is men. etc means
A product that does not need to be in the refrigerated section next to the milk.
men.
Sales triple. Why? Milk, not milk. For the people who were there and looking at that section, it was remarkable.
Okay.
They didn't triple their sales with advertising. They tripled it by being tripling the market. That is a remarkable piece of marketing.
Because that is so easy for them.
Dog behind a butcher in the middle of New York City is remarkable. Frank Gehry didn't just change an entire
Official, powerful.
by designing one building that people from all over the world went to see. Now, at countless meetings, at the Portland City Councilor, who knows where, they say, we need an architect. Can we get Frank Gehry? Because he did something that was at the fringes. At my big failure, I came out with an entire a record album, and hopefully a whole bunch of record albums in SACD format, this remarkable new format. And I marked
Because juniors are already afraid of
$20,000
rules.
don't like new.
These guys are studs. That's why.
What you need to do is figure out
Fucking studs.
who is
Sorry.
going to raise their hand
Okay.
and want to hear what
To write for 20 minutes on the 3 biggest problems facing your audience based on what you learned from interviewing your contact.
But they do have a link. And people used to come from miles around to
Write for 20 minutes on the 3 biggest problems facing your audience based on what you learned from interviewing your contact. 3. From your expertise and personal experiences, write for 30 minutes on what you learned from your own life experiences that could be offered as solutions to your audience's problems. Looking at what you wrote, brainstorm 5 to 10 possible actions that could be taken to achieve these solutions, such as remove clutter or express your appreciation. Don't go into detail. Write these ideas in 2 or 3 words statements. 5. What would be the result of enacting those 5 to 10 possible steps? Less negativity, better sales, healthier eating habits. Ultimately, what is the goal and how does it relate to the big 3? You may be asking yourself, what is my goal? As you sift through the reams of material you have created to get to this page, it may seem as if you have a gobbledygook of essays, stories and messages. But look again, all the work you put in is finally going to pay off. Now you have enough information to turn the message of you into the core promise of your speech. Chapter 5, Checklist. Research the problem by interviewing someone in the field that it will be speaking to. Created a list of the possible problems facing my audience. Found how the consequences of problem relates to a person's health, wealth and relationship. Examined my life journey for my relationships to the problem. Ended up with a gobbledygook of essays, stories and messages. Chapter 6. Yes. Putting the pieces together, the core promise formula. When Laura Tenenbaum called me, she was confused and overwhelmed. Her head was spinning with literally hundreds of stories and possible messages. Laura had an inviable problem. She was an expert in too many topics. She had too many interests. She would found her passion in life during a college science class when she learned about sea slugs. Yes, you heard me right. Sea slugs. They fascinated her enough that she changed her major at the University of California, Santa Cruz to marine science. She then spent a number of years overseas teaching scuba diving before landing a job as an adjunct professor at Glendale Community College. Then went on to become a communication and education specialist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in their Earth. In their this and that, the formulas of pi. Oh my God, science so scientific. and Climate Communication Division. Laura was frozen in place, unable to focus and formulate a core promise. She had assumed that writing her core promise would be just as straightforward a process as putting together a resume. It wasn't. Now Laura has had a major problem and she wanted a solution. Aha! See how I snuck that in there. Laura wanted a fill in the blank formula. Fortunately, I had developed just that formula. The core promise formula. You know how insert your audience, your new sales team, parents, doctors, women volunteers, employees, or even just people have this problem. They are insert problem, stressed and overwhelmed from working longer hours, facing emotional burnout, working on the oncology ward, aren't attracting new clients, can't get customers to their website, have too much paperwork, don't have a retirement plan, and are going to end up broke. From my experiences, insert professional experience, working 15 years in HR, flying to the moon, headlining comedy clubs, working at the IRS, as well as what I learned from, thank you very much Mummy, insert personal experiences, surviving my own teenager, surviving third degree burns over 80% of my body, struggling with dyslexia, yes, my life partner, successfully changing careers at 50 years old. I show the audience how they can also insert the expected results. This is the promise of your speech. For example, lead funnier and happier lives, create new business, increase their sales, learn how to get out of depression, increase sales, be better parents, increase efficiency, deal with change, have the home they dreamed of, increase their income by 30%. By insert your solution or methodology.
So consumers, and I don't just mean people who buy stuff at the Safeway. I mean people at the Defense Department who might buy something, or people in the New Yorker who might print your article. Consumers don't care about you.
Yeah, actually, focus.
Don't care. Part of the reason is they got
Focus on
choices than they used to, and way less time.
G5, then W5. By insert your solution or methodology, adding just 10 minutes to each work day, using their sense of humor to dissolve conflict, having fewer meetings, initiating a 4-day work week, focusing on appreciating what they have rather than wanting what they don't have. Laura was thrilled to be given the formula. After months of wading through her hobbies and stories and experiences working in the male-dominated world of science, she finally had a way to contain, communicate, and understand her speech. It only took her 10 minutes to fill in the blanks. Discover the message of you. You know How many ordinary people, non-scientists, think about climate change and other environmental issues as kind of environmental
It's number one is because that's the week it came out. Because it's new, because it's fresh, because people
as kind of depressing and overwhelming.
two of the
Even when you feel like you can do something, it just feels like whatever you do is too small. Besides, green solutions can cost a lot, and people have other things competing for their attention, such as women's right.
they're used to it. The rest of us have to figure out how to think that way.
Even when you feel like you can do something,
People with big full-pay jobs.
it just feels like whatever you do is too small. Besides, green solutions can cost a lot, and people have other things competing for their attention, such as women rights, gay rights,
They turned the chair
and angry birds.
apartment box to something that was a status symbol about where you sat at work. This guy, Lionel Cohen, the most famous faker in the world, he died 2.5 months ago, and he was a hero of mine and a dear friend. He lived in Paris. Last year he sold $10 million with the French bread. That's
But
called fake.
from my experiences as a college professor and part of the Earth Science Communication team and at NASA, as well as what I learned from my own views from looking at Earth from space, as well as from the bottom of the ocean. As a scuba diver, I show audiences how to reacquaint themselves with the thrill of science and feel that they can make difference by rekindling their love affair with planet Earth and appreciating the wonder that is right here under our feet at all times. Yes.
With something. And when you talk to them, they'll listen because they like listening. If they're
Okay, your turn. The core promise of your speech should be, in brief, reflect a logical step-by-step outline of your entire speech. If any of the six components are missing, your speech won't work.
to make a product,
Let's review.
to come up with any problem you want to solve,
Let's review the steps of your core promise to make sure that each is structurally
it's easy for them to tell your friends. There's a hot sauce on taco, but there's no
that each is structurally sound. Before you begin writing your speech, ask yourself these questions about these sections. Audience.
team has figured this whole thing out. Krispy Kreme has a strategy, and what they do is they enter a city, they talk to the people who know taco, and then they spread through the city to the people who are
Audience.
across the street.
Do you qualify to speak to your audience? Will your credentials mean something to your chosen audience? Do you already have a personal connection to a group or audience because you work for the organization? Is there an association you belong to? Do you understand the needs of your audience? Can your audience relate to you? Can you identify your audience? Problems. Are the problems you are tackling authentic and relevant to the organization? Are they backed up by interviews that you have done? Are they timely? Are they dire? Do they relate to the big three: health, wealth, and relationships? Your credentials. Do you have relevant professional credentials that qualify you to solve the specific problems you have stated? If not, start the process over again if to find the audience and the problems you qualify to solve. Your personal experience. Have you personally had to deal with the problems you have stated? Have you overcome them? Have you learned a life lesson that can be imparted? Do you have support stories and a heart story to illustrate that lesson? If not, go back and rework chapter 5. And rework chapter 5.
Sometimes a little too remarkable. And this picture frame has a cord going up.
Your promise or results.
Has his own steps, and he sees his grandchildren every day.
Your promise and your results must solve the problem. Don't begin your speech outlining the specific problems of time management and then have the results be about leadership skills. The promise of your speech must directly relate to the problems you outlined. Your methodology. Your action steps must address the stated problem. If your steps do not address the problem, then start over again and set up a problem that your methodology can address. In my workshops, at keynoteu.com, we usually spend 2 weeks on just the core promise, making sure each piece of the puzzle fits perfectly, making sure that one step leads to the next step, making sure that the solution fits the problem. This might seem like a lot of mind-numbing work, but it does pay off big time. The students who rush and don't take the time to make sure their core promise make logical sense end up with a speech that doesn't make sense. That disconnect then extends to the audience as well as their confusing marketing materials.
That is a remarkable piece of art. You don't have to like it, but a 40-foot tall dog made out of bushes in the middle of New York City is remarkable. Frank Gehry didn't just change the museum, he changed his
If you have ever watched a house being built, you will see that there are months spent laying the foundation. If the foundation is faulty, they want to protect. They want to God, universe, God, gurus, universe, God's gurus. God just to them is faulty. No matter how much time and energy goes into building the rest of the house, it will not be sound. Your core promise is the foundation of your speech. It has to be rock solid in its foundation. Writing all this out, you may find that you have a real mouthful of a message. While you may have plenty of room on your website to announce your core promise. When you call up a meeting planner, you will have about 15 seconds to knock him dead. That's why you will now need to create the elevator pitch version of your core promise. Why not? Maybe that senior male hired women HR, right? Why not? Because those guys are really understandable. Oh God. Elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is the condensed mini version of the above formula. Their problem plus your expertise plus the message of you equals to elevator pitch. For example, let's look at speaking student Tracy Suttle's elevator pitch. Their problem: do you ever lose a scale? Do you ever lose a sale and you don't know why? Your expertise from my 15 years experience in sales training, where I have improved sales as much as 85%. The message of you, I am going to show you how to navigate beyond your sales script to personalize your sales approach through the art of conversation. Through the art of conversation. Now you try it. From this point on, I want you to practice saying your elevator pitch out loud over and over again. Say it when you wake up in the morning. Say it in the shower and say it in your car on the drive to work. As you say it to people, it will evolve as you will need to change any part that feels awkward. It's okay to get away from the exact wording, as it needs to sound natural for you to say it. It needs to become authentically yours. Once it is, condense it even further by squeezing your elevator pitch into the title of your speech. Titles that titillate. Titles that titillate. Now, LAT. Now that you have written all the components of your speech, it's time to find the perfect title. A title is the first thing meeting planners see. It's the first thing audience members read in their programs, and it determines whether meeting planners will book you or move on to your competitor. It also determines how many audience members will show up for your keynote. 1. Write all the words associated with the problem that you plan on addressing in your speech. For example, suppose. Create your own language. The best way to conquer the niche is to create your own word and use it in your title. When you do that, i.e., Tongyu Fu, Seren Destiny, Freakonomics, you can trademark that word. Now you don't just have a clever book or speech title, you have a business empire, because you can monetize and merchandise in perpetuity. Sam Horn, speaker and author of Pop, create the perfect pitch title and tagline for anything. Suppose you lost 200 pounds and you now talk about how to lose weight. Even if you hate to diet, hate to exercise, and have a slow metabolism, among the words you would write down would be lose weight, hate diet, hate, lose weight, lose. You would be lose weight, hate diet, exercise, slow, and metabolism. 2. Now write all the words associated with your solution. 3. Expand your list of words by using a thesaurus to find thesaurus to find even more words with the same or similar meaning, synonyms. For example, if I look up the word diet, I get watch your weight, reduce, starve yourself, fast, etc. 4. Add your new words plus variations like starving or starve. 5. Now try arranging words into snappy titles using one of more of these title tips. Modify familiar catchphrases and expressions so that they are relevant to your topic in the title, i.e. the cure for the common brand from the cure for the common cold, or how to use poker strategy to have a winning hand in life from a winning hand. Use from problem and to solution so that it illustrates the change your speech will make, i.e. from confrontation to communication. Mention your qualifications to speak on your topic in the title. From Homeless to Harvard is written by a woman who did exactly what the title implies. Use numbers or steps in your title, i.e. 4 easy steps to sell your writing. Example: doing so makes a difficult problem seem more manageable. Identify your target market in your presentation title, i.e. management strategies for real estate agents. This title makes your speech more appealing to realtors than a general management speech or anyone and everyone. When starting out, it's a good idea to narrow your focus to an audience that you have access to. Then as you grow in popularity, you can make your title more general. Look to magazine covers to find good titles that have sizzle.
Making a remark about. And that is the essence of where Idea Diffusion is going. That two of the hottest cars in the United States is a $55,000 giant car, big enough to hold a Mini in its trunk. People are paying full price for both, and the only thing they have in common is they don't have anything in common. Every week, the #1 best-selling DVD in America changes. It's never The Godfather, it's never Citizen Kane. It's always some third-rate movie with some second-rate star. But the reason it's #1 is because that's the week it came out. Because it's new, because it's fresh, because people saw it and said, I didn't know that was there, and they noticed it. Two of the big success stories the last 20 years in retail. One sells things that are super expensive in a blue box, and one sells things that are as cheap as they can make them. The only thing they have in common is that they're different. We're now in the fashion business. No matter what we do for a living, we're in the fashion business. And the thing is, people in the fashion business know what it's like to be in the fashion business. They're used to it. The rest of us have to figure out how to think that way. How to understand that it's not about interrupting people with big full-page ads or insisting on meetings with people. But it's a totally different sort of process that determines which ideas spread and which ones don't. This chair, they sold $1 billion worth of Aeron chairs by reinventing what it meant to sell a chair. They turned a chair from something the purchasing department bought to something that was a status symbol about where you got it. This guy, hero of mine, he lived in Paris. Last year he sold $10 million in French bread. Every well-paid bakery he owned, by one baker at a time, he was fired up. When Lionel started his bakery, the French poo-pooed it. They didn't want to buy his bread. It didn't look like French bread. It wasn't what they expected. It was wheat. It was remarkable. And slowly, it spread from one person to another person until finally it became the official bread of retail restaurants in Paris. Not even one being shipped by FedEx all around the world. What marketers used to do is make average products for average people. That's what mass marketing is. Smooth out the edges. Go for the center. That's the big market. They would ignore the geeks and, God forbid, the laggards. It was all about going for the center. But in a world where the TV industrial complex is broken, I don't think that's the strategy we want to use anymore. I think the strategy we want to use is to not market to these people because they're really good at ignoring them. But market to these people because they care. These are the people who are obsessed with something. And when you talk to them, they'll listen because they like listening. It's about them. And if you're lucky, they'll tell their friends on the rest of the curve, and it'll spread. It'll spread through the entire curve. They have something I call Hokage. It's a great Japanese word. It describes the desire of someone who's obsessed to say drive or help them try to move on to new place. That's what they do. They get obsessed. To make a product, to market an idea, to come up with any problem you want to solve that doesn't have a constituency within the top page is almost impossible. Instead, you have to find a group that really desperately cares about what you have to say. Talk to them, and then you use it to tell your friends. There's a hot sauce otaku, but there's no mustard otaku. That's why there's lots and lots and lots of kinds of hot sauces, and not so many kinds of mustard. Not because it's hard to taste the mustard. But people don't, because no one's obsessed with it. Krispy Kreme is helping out. Krispy Kreme has strategy. And what they do is they enter the city, they talk to the people that were talking, and then they spread to the city to the people who just crossed the street. This yo-yo right here costs $112, but it sleeps for 12 minutes. Not everybody wants it, but they don't care. They want to talk to people who do, and maybe it'll spread. These guys make the loudest car stereo in the world. It's as loud as the 747 jet. You can't get in. The car's got bulletproof glass on the windows because they'll blow out the windshield otherwise. But the fact remains that when someone wants to put a couple speakers in their car, if they've got their top load, the first thing someone does, they go ahead and they fix it. It's really simple to sell to people who are listening, and maybe, just maybe, those people tell their friends. So when Steve Jobs talks to 50,000 people at his keynote, who are all tuned in to 130 countries watching his 2-hour commercial, that's the only thing keeping his company in business. Is that those 50,000 people care desperately enough to watch a 2-hour commercial and tell their friends. Pearl Jam, 96 albums, released in the last 2 years. Everyone made a profit. How? They only sell them on their website. Those people who buy them on their website have the apostle, and then they tell their friends, and it spreads, and it spreads.
Wow.
This hot movement costs $10,000. Anytime hospitals are buying it faster than any other model. Hard candy nail polish doesn't appeal to everybody, but to the people who love it, they talk about it like crazy. This paint can right here.
7. Rhyming words can make a memorable title. If any of the words in your description of the problem or solution rhyme, you might want to use them in the title. For example, lose weight without the hate. Lose weight without the hate. 5 steps to a perfect body without dieting or exercise. 5 steps to have a perfect body without dieting or exercise.
Every day, changing, constantly, and every single person who walks into his office hears the whole story how this thing ended up on his desk. And one thing at a time, the idea spread. These are not diamonds.
What's the thing there?
They're made from
Okay, you have to manage the diet also, and you have to exercise
You like my
Okay.
name? It's my grandma.
with this waist trainers. This won't work only. This won't.
Fastest growing business in the whole mortuary industry. But you don't have to be Ozzy Osbourne. You don't have to be super outrageous to do this. What you have to do is figure out what people really want and give it to them. A couple quick rules to wrap up. The first one is design is free with
8.
scale. And the people who come up with stuff that's remarkable more often than
Name a technique.
designed to work for you. Number two,
Name a technique after yourself, as in Carter's comedy technique. Carter's comedy technique
being Procter & Gamble.
for breaking the ice with new customers. The advantage to this technique is that if your method becomes famous, so do you. So do you.
Very good.
Survey says,
Very good is average.
take a break from words with friends,
We have a track.
and take a break from words with friends and put your
So, like
Facebook friends.
so, put a product that does not need to be in the refrigerated section next to the milk in the refrigerator.
And put your Facebook friends
Why?
to good use by involving them in your speech research. Use a Facebook or Twitter survey to get instant feedback on the possible titles of your speech. Consider it a good title when a friend comments great title. Consider it a good title when a friend comments great title.
By designing one building that people from
Perfect for my company.
now and
Let me see if you can speak at our next meeting. Speak at our next meeting.
And my big failure, I came out with this a record album, and hopefully
Once you have a few ideas for titles, Google the best ones to make sure that nobody else is using the same title.
don't like new music.
Find 5 people who resemble your target audience in terms of
So
demographics and other characteristics.
figure out
For example, if your speech is called Retire in Style,
to hear what you're doing.
5 steps to stop working and start living, then your 50-year-old uncle can give you a much more valuable opinion than your teenage skateboarder cousin. Have them rank the title you are considering from best to worst.
So the founding fathers and stuff like that, we got some money to spend. What
Choose your title and write it in your notes.
pretty safe. And then an artist came to
Chapter 6 Checklist.
artist rendering. He wants to
Condensed
build
the
a
message.
5-foot-tall lava lamp in the center of town. That's a purple cow. That's something worth noticing. I don't know about you, but if they build it, that's what I'm doing. Thank you very much.
Condense the message of you into the core promise formula. Practiced my elevator pitch. Got a title for my speech. In the end, it's so simple, isn't it? It all boils down to a few powerful sentences that somehow manage to convey all the writing you did about yourself. Your audience and your expertise don't hate me for making you write pages and pages of material. You are going to use all of it again in part 2. As we know, expand these powerful sentences into your keynote speech. That's right. It's time to jump in. It's time to jump in there and write your speech. Chapter 7 Judy's Surefire Anti-Procrastination Plan. Hey, wait. Didn't I just say it was time to write your speech? Yes, I did. But if you are anything like me, just hearing that declaration caused you to put this book down, start cleaning out the fridge, organizing your stock drawer, or suddenly decide to take up scrapbooking, you, my friend, are in the grips of the procrastination monster. But wait, it gets even scarier. You are going to book your first speaking gig now. Before you have written your speech, you might now be wondering if I'm writing while in a You might now be wondering if I'm writing while inebriated. I am not, at least not today. But with that said, drunk or not, I know for certain that you will not complete writing your speech unless you have a speaking gig waiting for you on your calendar. How do you know? How do I know this? Because speaking is scary, and most people, anyone with a brain avoid things that scare them. A survey taken by USA Today found that the number one fear people share in public speaking, the number two fear is the fear of dying. This means people would rather their parachute not open than have to speak in front of a group of people. To quote Jerry Seinfeld, that means that at a funeral people would prefer to be the guy in the box than the guy giving the sermon. Need help? Go to keynoteu.com for your own personal speaking tutor. Oh,
Made it really easy to spread ideas in a certain way. I call it the TV industrial complex. The way the TV industrial complex works is you buy some ads, interrupt some people, that gets you distribution.
then there are the people such as, let me think. Okay. So, there are great relationship promoting. Okay, in G5, promotion of great relationship. Okay, obviously after right understanding, health, wealth, right, and happiness, obviously, ensure already completed all 4 areas first. Okay, then relationship. And here in W5, reads
Now there are magazines about water.
like
Product from Coke Japan, water salad. Coke Japan comes out with a new product every
through
week.
our brother
They have no idea what's going to work and what's not.
and
This, I couldn't have written this down
actions
in 4 days by
also
important parts, so you can see them here.
live
They come out, Arby's, and they spend $85 million
inter
promoting an oven mitt,
views
the
of
voice of Tom Arnold,
all
hoping that will get people to go to
companies
Arby's and buy a roast beef sandwich.
of all companies
Now I want you to try to imagine what could possibly be in an animated TV
Staffs.
commercial featuring Tom Arnold
Okay.
that will get you to get in your car, drive across town, and buy a roast beef sandwich. Now this is Copernicus, and he was right when he's talking to anyone who needs to. He was like, "Here, the world revolves around me. Me, my favorite.
Okay.
Me. I don't want to get emails from anybody. I want to get an email."
then there are the people such as oh let me think everyone who find find writing even scarier than writing find writing even scarier than speaking even scarier even scarier than speaking. Most of my new coaching clients are speakers who have a gig scheduled within a few days, and they are like chastity from chapter 1 of this book in a state of panic. They have put off writing their speech until the very last moment, and they call me begging for help to avoid the humiliation of failure. Fear itself isn't the problem. It's the way you deal with it or don't deal with it. That is the problem. You might not even be aware how often actions and decisions are solely based on fear. For instance, you might not go to a party because you are frightened to go alone. But you tell yourself, I'm too tired. I'm too tired. I have a big day tomorrow. Probably just the same way you skipped the harder exercises in this book thinking you would get back to them. If you are like most wannabe creative types, your storage area is filled with unfinished screenplays, slides, and photos that you will someday scan and organize, and journals filled with great ideas. Maybe you excitedly start a project, but when it takes too much time, too much energy, you bail. You want the immediate rewards, whether it is money or applause.
But it's a totally different sort of process that determines which ideas spread and which ones don't. This chair, this was $1 billion worth of Aeron chairs. By reinventing what it meant to sell a chair. They turned the chair from something the purchasing department bought to something that was a status symbol about where you sat at work. This guy, Lionel Cooley, the most famous baker in the world, he died 2.5 months ago. He was a hero of mine and dear friend. He lived in Paris. Last year he sold.
You want some sort of appreciation for the hard work. Your inner critic kicks me. You are not really good at this. What makes you think you can tell others what to do with their life? You don't really know what to do with others or what to do with yours. This is when 90% of people give up. Starting is easy, finishing is hard. Most of us are all good starters, but there are fewer of us at the finish line. Yes.
Go for the center. That's the big market. They would ignore the
we did it.
See, the industrial complex is broken. I don't think that's the strategy we want to use anymore. I think the strategy we want to use is to not market to these people because they're really good at ignoring you. But market to these people because they care. These are the people who are obsessed with something. And when you talk to them, they'll listen because they like listening. It's about them. And if you're lucky, they'll tell their friends on the rest of the curve. And it'll spread. It'll spread through the entire curve. They have something I call otaku. It's a great Japanese word. It describes the desire of someone who's obsessed to say, "Go."
We are sprinters rather than marathon runners.
They get obsessed with it. To make a product, to market an idea, to come up with any
Here is the thing.
doesn't have a constituent
Successful people finish stuff.
is almost impossible.
Yes.
Instead, you have to find a group that really desperately cares about what it is you have to say. Talk to them. And they
Some of my students ask me if I think that they have enough talent to make it as a speaker or a comic. The problem is that it's not talent that makes a speaker successful. I have watched so many amazingly talented performers who never let go of their day jobs. Meanwhile, I have seen less talented people go on to fame and fortune. You can make your own list on that one. So, what do those people have that is more important than talent?
make the loudest car stereo in the world.
So, what do those people have that is more important than talent? They have persistence. Yeah.
But the fact remains that when someone wants to
The will to keep going when fear tells them to stop. Oh, ho, ho.
it's really simply sell the people who are listening, and maybe, just maybe, those people tell their friends. So when Steve Jobs talks to 50,000 people at his keynote, who are all tuned in from 130 countries watching his 2-hour commercial,
Yes,
that's the only
there are a lot of people who want to be successful, but fewer who are willing to do what it takes.
96 albums released in the last 2 years. Everyone made a profit.
They make the time to work on their speeches, even if their lives are busy.
Tell their friends, and it spreads, and it spreads. This hospital could cost $10,000, 10 times the standard. But hospitals are
And
are
stressed.
everybody.
They don't close the computer when their inner critic tells them stop.
Say the Dutch Boy Paint Company, making them a fortune, cost 35% more than regular paint. Because Dutch Boy made a
Yes.
can that people talk about, because it's remarkable. He didn't just slap a new ad on the product and he changed what it meant to build a paint product. AnnaHowderNot.com. Every day, 250,000 people go to this site, run by 2 volunteers. And I can tell you that.
Ritesh, yeah.
And
This type of unexpressed fear could be slowing your career advancement. You might be avoiding expressing your ideas both in speeches and in general because you feel uncomfortable about the possibility of failure. But instead of facing the fear, you tell yourself, I can just send this out in a memo, or I'll keep this to myself. Why rock the boat? Or I'll write my speech later. I've got to check Facebook. When you experience fear, remember,
you don't have to be super outrageous.
and now speaking from the couch. You can't motivate others if you can't motivate yourself.
And the people who come up with stuff that's remarkable
So,
figure out how to put design to it. Number 2,
meter.
now is be safe. Start thinking more.
You can't motivate others if you can't motivate yourself. There is no such thing as a lazy motivational speaker. They tend not to be the slacker sort.
Very
Yes.
good is boring. Very good is average. It doesn't matter if you're making a record.
I can't tolerate.
You have a track.
I won't tolerate.
It's very good. It's not the
I won't
because nobody's So, like these stories. So, but
I won't
product that does not need to be in the refrigerated section.
tolerate
Yes, with milk in the refrigerated section.
disrespect of
Why? Milk, not milk.
disrespect
For the people who were there and
Respect
looking at that section, it was
of
remarkable. They didn't triple their
my
sales advertising. They tripled it by doing something remarkable.
mom,
That is a remarkable piece of art. You don't have to like it, but a 40-foot tall dog
sister,
out of bushes in the middle of New York City is remarkable.
wife,
Frank Gehry didn't just change the museum, he changed the
girlfriend.
entire city's economy by designing one building that people from all over the world went
My mom, sister, girlfriend, wife, daughter.
city councilor, who knows where. They said, we need an architect. Can we get Frank Gehry? Because he did something that was
Okay.
And my
I want a respectful environment everywhere for them.
a record album.
I want
Bunch of record albums in FCCD format. This remarkable new format. And I
respect,
marketed it straight to people with $20,000 stereos. People with
respectful.
$20,000 stereos don't like new music. So, what you need to do,
environment,
who does care? Who is going to raise their hand and say, I want to hear what you're doing next?
everywhere,
Sell something to that.
all places,
Well, last example I want
in
to give you is the
all
map of Salt Lake, Washington. As you can
places,
see, if that's nowhere
forever.
in the middle of it.
Okay?
But they do have a lake. And people used to
And
have miles around to swim in the lake. They don't anymore.
great
So the founding fathers at Salt Lake said, we got some
couple.
money to spend. What could we build here? And like most communities, they were going to build something pretty safe. And then an artist came to them. This is a true artist rendering. He
Me,
wants to build a 55-foot
all
tall lava lamp in the center of
forever.
town. That's a purple cow. That's something worth noticing. I don't know about you, but they built it.
Okay.
Thank you.
They tend not to be the slacker sort. Jonathan Wigand, CEO of Big Speak Motivational Speakers Bureau. Motivational Speakers Bureau. Bureau. Let's do it. Okay. After finishing, hold. I'll write my speech. Okay. Why rock the boat? Or I'll write my speech. Later, I have got to check Facebook. When you experience fear, remember that seemingly brave people are not actually brave. They are just as nervous and just as freaked out as you. Yes. What distinguishes them seemingly brave from the clearly fearful is that the brave ones act despite their fear. Yes. They don't allow fear to stop them, and neither should you. Writing a speech might seem like a daunting job, but if you break it down into smaller portions, it is manageable. It's like gardening. I wanted to grow a vegetable garden, so I planted a bunch of seeds. When they all started to grow, I got overwhelmed, and a friend told, 11 o'clock. After 3 close. Friend told me to break the garden down into small squares. Just plant a few of the squares. All of a sudden, it got manageable. The same goes for your speech. If you break down writing your speech into six 6 segments, it becomes easier to handle. That's why in part 2 we take the section by section. Now, the reason people plant a garden is because they want and or need to eat what they have grown. Hunger is pretty good motivation. You need an equally compelling reason to finish writing your speech. Booking your first gig will be that motivation. It will be the ticking clock in the back of your brain as you obsessively update your Facebook page or clean the bathtub for the 15th time. Procrastination is a drug that manifests in many forms. Fuzzing, eating, drinking, catching up on that CSI Miami marathon, or even actual drugs. When I'm supposed to write, I find so many excuses to delay my process. I will obsessively look for ideas in the refrigerator, eat tons of snacks, have a glass of wine, and by 8 p.m. I'm 38. Wait, watcher points over goal with no pages to show for it. So I swear to you, there is no better way to ensure you will finish your speech than by having a speaking gig looming on your calendar. Consider it motivation for the motivator you are supposed to be. The first gig you will book will be a freebie. Even though there are thousands of companies who want to hire and pay outside speakers to educate, inspire, and motivate their audience with a keynote, you need practice. If you are just starting your career, it's better to speak for free at your workplace or for a charity group or non-profit while you hone your speech. Plus, you probably don't yet have what is necessary to land a paying gig, and I don't mean that in talent terms. You may be very talented, but to book a paying gig, you need some basic marketing materials such as a killer video demo, a cool website, a happy letters from past clients. I discuss these further in part 3. Even if you are a pro, you may want to try out your new speech in a less stressful situation. Free gigs may not give you money, but they will give you experience, help you further develop content, and if all goes well, provide you with video clips and referral letters, so you can go from free to free. As I mentioned before, one of my first gigs was speaking for cancer survivors. At the time of my call with the president of that group, I hadn't written my speech. All I had was a title, using humor to heal. She was thrilled and set a time for me to speak a month away. That date kicked my butt into gear. The gig went well, so well that one of the audience members, a sociologist from UCLA, approached me after the keynote and said the magic words, how much would you charge to speak to my group? I made up a number like $175, and he said fine. My career was off and running. My career was off and running. The point is, I never would have written my speech without that first gig. That gig on my calendar. You have got to book it to do it. Exercise. Get your shit together. Even though you are pursuing a freebie, there is still one marketing item you will need to line up a gig. It's called EPK, Electronic Press Kit.
The number one best-selling DVD in America changes. It's never The Godfather, it's never Citizen Kane. It's always some third-rate movie with some second-rate star. But the reason it's number one is because that's the week it came out. Because it's new, because it's fresh, because people saw it and said, I didn't know that was there, and they noticed it. Two of the big success stories the last 20 years in retail. One sells things that are super expensive in a blue box, and one sells things that are as cheap as they can make them. The only thing they have in common.
Exercise. Get your shit together. Your EPK includes your speech title, your speech in brief, a brief bio, a professional picture, your speech title. Just use that baby you created in chapter 6. Done. Your speech in brief. You have already got that. It's your elevator pitch. Done. A brief bio. Condense your bio to no longer than 50 words. The shorter, the better. Start with your most impressive credentials and reference how it relates to the title of your speech. Wow, man. Mom, dad, great. Brother, sister, great. Uncle, aunties, great. Friends are great. Co-workers, working mates, great. Schoolmates, great. Relatives, great. Neighbors, great. Everyone's great. A professional picture. Make it a recent photo. There is nothing worse than showing up at a gig and the client can't recognize you from the high school prom picture you sent them. And no, you can't crop out your wife or your best buddy from the photo and just hope they ignore the arm around your shoulder. That's creepy. Invest in a photo session, or if you are broke, have a friend use your digital camera, brush your hair, check your teeth for lipstick smears. Stand in front of a plain background and smile. how much is this going to cost you to put together? Nothing. I have created a website where you can create and send out your EPKs for free, and you don't need any graphic design skill to do it. I told you I'm committed to you being a success. So go to speakerdemo.com where you can create your EPK. Now, as for booking your gig, practically all speakers get their start from someone they know or an organization that they belong to. Right now, there is probably 1 degree of separation between you and your audience. Look in your wallet. There are speaking opportunities right there. Your credit card company, insurance company, credit card company, insurance company, your school, the associations you belong to, and even the public library has meetings that you use speakers. Oh. Speaking OPPs within your profession. One of my speaking students is a nurse and found plenty of opportunities associated with her profession. Nurses can speak at nursing association meetings, nurse local association chapter meetings, nursing schools, drug rep dinners, vendor expos, health fairs, hospitals, clinics, CEU education days, National Nurse Week, and staff orientation at hospitals, annual conventions, staff health programs, and more. Very often your workplace is a bonanza of speaking opportunities. One of the biggest complaints you have is there are too many meetings. Just flip that, and it means that there are plenty of opportunities for you to speak. All smaller meetings companies use in-house speakers. Use in-house speakers. That means that Mary from HR will be enlisted to give a presentation on the company's Go Green program. The person who signs your paychecks is a great person to talk to about booking your first gig. One of my students worked as a greeter at Banana Republic. She put together a 5-minute comedy routine about her job and showed it to her boss, who asked her to do it at their next meeting. Next thing you know, she was invited to give a 30-minute speech at the Banana Republic National Meeting on the topic of the power of a first impression. If you work for a company, volunteering to speak at these meetings is an excellent way to hone your speaking abilities and get some time on stage, or what I like to call ring time. if I goes well, speaking can put you on the fast track to promotion, no matter where you are on the corporate speaking totem pole. There are speaking opportunities for you. Here are ways to track them down. Exercise. Find your tribe. 1. Make a list of all the non-profit organizations in your neighborhood that might welcome speakers, the military, a Rotary Club, Girl Scouts, PTA, and so on. Do you have any personal connections to these organizations? Do you know anyone who does? 2. Look back over chapter 4 where you made an exhaustive